Hello, everybody. This is Peter from Chennai, India. We are bringing today Module 23, the beautiful Baspa Range in Kinnaur, as part of our daily ongoing webinar series. As usual, we are live every morning at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. at Zoom, and videos gets posted on Insta TV, YouTube, Facebook, and my blog, ultrajourneys.org. Here you can see the beautiful Rupin Valley, like a waterfall with snow and glacial meltwater flowing down the Rupin Pass, which is one of the many passes across the Baspa Range. We'll cover a small traverse in this session. We'll start at the Baspa Valley near Sangla, a pretty famous touristic town, beautiful place. From there, we climb up over the Rupin Pass, get into this beautiful Rupin Valley here, then take a U-turn to Dodra, from where we entered across the Chansal Pass, go to the Babar Valley, from where we cross back to the Baspa Valley using the Buran Gati. Here again, you can see a beautiful a picture of a shepherd crossing a wild stream in the Rupin Valley. Here we see like a visualization of Kinnaur Spiti on top and Kinnaur at the base. Here you can see that Baspa Range actually, which separates Kinnaur on the upper side through various passes. You have the Boruo Pass, Rupin Pass, Nalgan Pass, Kimloha Pass, Borsu Pass, Lamkana Pass, several passes there, which separates Kinnaur from a little corner of Shimla, and at the base you can see Uttarakhand, basically the Garhwal site. Voila, let's take a bird's eye view. So here we can see that entire Baspa range actually. So if we fly around it, it looks like an extended range, which on the northern side will have the Baspa Valley here that flows through Sangal and then Sangla and then Chitkul, famously called the last village of India. So here again, you can see various passes across this range, starting with the Shatu Pass, the Kiyunshu Gati, the Buran Gati, the Rupin Pass, the Nalgan Pass, and then going further east, the Kimloha, the Borasu, and the Lamkhana Pass, which will lead towards Uttarakhand. So as we cross this range, we come into the lower foothills here of the Himalayas, the Shimla and Uttarakhand district, eventually towards also Sankri and the Govind Pashu National Park on that side. Okay, so here we can see all the names again, put with all the villages, both at the Baspa Valley side as well as on the Uttarakhand and the Shimla side. So we'll take you on a circular traverse, beautiful, I think, 4-day traverse, where you start from Shangla, cross the Rupin Pass, pretty well-defined pass, pretty touristic, but beautiful nevertheless. Come to a small village of Jankla, then further get down into Rupin Valley to the village of Dodra, from where we cross over the Chansal Pass. This is actually a motorable pass, but also a nice hiking trail is there. From Rupin, Chansal, it's better to jump on a vehicle to get down to the Babar River Valley, from where immediately you take a right from the highway, and then if you can, take a lift to the village of Junglik, the last town, from where you enter beautiful forest meadows on the way to Buran Gati, from where you eventually head back onto the village of Burua in the Baspa River Valley. Okay, so these are all the passes you get across these Baspa Range. Today we'll just take out those two discussed. You can see pretty solid high range again here, being closer to Kinnaur and Spiti. Voila, we start off in this enchanting Baspa Valley near the touristic town of Sangla, thriving town, a lot of apple orchards, a lot of farm fields, located on the slopes of the valley below steep rising high ranges of Kinnaur. Here you can see some, you have a couple of beautiful temples there and forts in Shangla. One is the Bering Nag temple, very beautiful, hand-carved, I mean, amazing stuff. This is not Hindu stuff, this is more like Buddhist stuff. but very similar to those hand-carved temples which you find in many other villages in Himachal. Big prayer wheel again, like we saw in Spiti, where those two old ladies in the village of Dimul were rotating it. You'll hear also a 90-plus-year-old homeless lady staying in the temple and a kind of showing her dedication by keeping the wheel spinning for 24 hours as a dedication towards the Almighty. Wow, it's a small world. Who do we meet in Sangla? Two Belgians, actually two Dutch guys. I mean, Flemish people, pretty close to my hometown. There's some 20 kilometers away from Ghent, my university town, where I meet two people who are already, 2 years on the way or on a 2-year trip with their heavily loaded touring cycles packed with luggage, cycling all the way from Europe to India and beyond. Voila, then if you're in Sangla, you also must pay a visit to Kamra Fort, which is a little bit higher above the fort. Beautiful, woodwork again, and like a kind of a tower construction. I think I've missed to place a photo, sorry, of a high-rising kind of palace kind of fort thing where the king, I guess, would have ruled in the olden days. Beautiful work here, like even more intrinsic than some of the wooden temples we saw earlier in Uttarakhand and Himachal. As usual, the smaller towns tradition still holds. You can see people weaving their own woolen jackets, their own blankets here. So they make their own food in the farms, they make their own clothes at home. So very little dependency when it comes to the basic needs on the global economy that we're all addicted to. And of course, yeah, because you're at the perfect altitude here to grow apples. So apples is also a major business here. And some of the bigger apple orchards owners drive BMW. So that's like solid export material. As we then climb up from Shangla, we come to an upper settlement of Shangla Kanda on the way to the Rupin Pass, getting stunning views on those high ranges separating the Baspa Valley here from then on the other side, the Kinnaur and also the Tibet side. You can see these farmlands again of Shangla Kanda. Wow, stunning, so beautiful to walk through this. Very gradual, nothing steep like the Pir Panjal or Dolador. Voila, there we see them again. Cool guys, looking a little bit carefully at you, looking ferocious, just like the Indian god in South India, but pretty peaceful animals as they graze the high alpine meadows, not seeming to be much bothered about the colds, whether it's cold wind or rain, as they have their thick fur. Voila, then eventually we come through a moraine section to cross the Baspa Range the first time using the Rupin Pass here, clearly demarcated with cairns, piles of rocks, marking the position of the pass. Quite a clear trail, I mean, as it's very touristic, a lot of commercial groups go through this. This time again, we crossed it pretty late, so again, same story. Bad weather, mist, rain, cold rain, snow, like, oh, it was like freezing cold. You could not stay, you had to keep moving. Rain jacket remains the most important gear in your backpack. Voila. So being touristic again, all these things can be found on open street maps. You can see that as we cross from the right side, the Baspa, the Sangla side, we cross into a big glacier here actually. Initially quite gradual and then a bit steeply down. You have some upper base camp here, a couple of steep drops here where you'll find 3 beautiful waterfalls before you get in the lower section of the Rupin Valley. Let's take a small walk as we get through snow and cold rain while crossing down from the Rupin Pass.
We are descending from the Rupin Pass at 4,650 under heavy snow. Srini was wishing for some good ice and snow this morning, so I think he got what he wanted. It's pretty cold. We should have crossed a little earlier. 4 o'clock is a bit late, but beautiful weather. Come, let's follow the coach way. Coach, lead the way. Video rolling. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Let's bring some snow home to the Chennai boys. Oh man, my hands are shaking. We should keep moving here before we freeze up.
Voila, then coming down, you get to the top of the first big waterfall that where the Rupin River drops in a beautiful enchanting Rupin Valley. Let's take a look at this crossing at the base of the waterfall.
Seeing us crossing the upper waterfall below the pass. Very good, Srini. And he made it. Awesome.
Voila. So then, lucky as we have it, fully shaken up, cold, wet, we find our best friends in the mountains, the Gadis, camping at the base of the same waterfall. I mean, you can see multiple drops coming down with their big herd of sheep and goats and greeting us immediately on some hot chai, followed by crispy wood-fried rotis. We pitch up in the night, huddle, warm, and then the next morning again we get treated on amazing hospitality by these guys, staying there under a piece of tarpaulin sheet for the entire summer. Very friendly gentlemen. They can immediately see, right, that we are alpine style. We are not the big commercial groups which they would be least interested in to host. Voila, here you can see the dogs everywhere in the higher altitudes. We need the sheep, especially the little sheep, are easy targets of the predators. So you have these big dogs keeping an eye with that metal band around their neck so the snow leopard cannot easily kill them. Huka pipe, favorite time pass of the shepherds as they chill out in these high alpine meadows. Grebes, sheep mostly graze by themselves, so not much of activities during the day except cooking twice a day in the morning and the evening. So a packet of bidi or a hookah pipe is the right the right thing to pass the time. Well, beautiful long long-haired mountain goat here with those big horns. Beautiful animals who have to actually, they don't stay under tarpaulin sheet. They simply stay in the open. They get wet. There rains there. You can sometimes hear these goats coughing actually because these cold nights, wetness, wind blowing through these valleys. Some of them really become sick, and I think they carry some antibiotics to inject some of the victims from the cold. Further down, it gets more green and more beautiful as we see those healthy, shining cattle here grazing the meadows. A little bit further down the stream, a lot more shepherds which graze both sides of the Rupin, which has become uncrossable now. So they're using these small bridges to get the animals across. Nice sight. As we come lower then into the valley, right, from the barren rocky moraines you saw on top to the steep drops into the meadows, we finally entered beautiful paths here. The lower paths are quite in good shape as you come to lower altitudes towards the first villages in those valleys, as these are well traversed by the shepherds who commute between the villages and the meadows. Finally, we come to the beautiful and fairy tale type of settlements of Dodra here. Dodra just inside Himachal, just across the border with Uttarakhand. You can see these. The entire village here is, all the houses is built using these traditional natural materials, a combination of stone and wood, covered with limestone tile, big tiles, huge tiles actually to take care of the heavy load of snow on top in the winter. You can see the villagers here a little bit towards the end of the summer preparing, drying a lot of these grasses they find in the surrounding meadows. and hanging them for drying near the houses, which will then be the winter ration for the cattle when this whole village gets cut off for the entire winter. You can see the beautiful roof tiles here and amazing views on the Rupin Valley below. Here again, the ground floors of these beautiful traditional houses. These are typically granaries, these triple doors you see, where they keep all the grains as well as the cattle in the winter, I guess. The people then will stay on top. You always have these nice balconies where people can chill out and enjoy the view. Then the temple, same thing. We're in typical that side of Himachal here, the Shimla side, and also the Uttarakhand side. Beautiful temples, fully decorated with those horns, wild animal horns, ibex, deer, bells, and also the trophies, the sport trophies conquered by the village. Then we come into the Baspa Valley after we cross the Chansal Pass. There again, you have apple orchards as part of the economy in addition to the farming. So to transport these apples between the road where they get picked up by small minivans from the archers steep onto the valleys, they use these steel cable cars powered by diesel engines. Here, as I said, the Baspa Valley is enchanting. So as you climb up, you go through this beautiful forest beyond the last village of Junglik, which is also magical. It's a very amazing forest. Like, wow, it's magical walking through it. You can feel the raw primal energy here connecting you back to nature. Voila, this is the final settlement of Junglik. Very beautiful. Here you can see a view on the Baspa Valley. And then crossing the Buran Gati. So Buran Gati, you have to be careful you don't go straight in the valley here. You take a little bit of a left, straight will take you back to the Rupin side. You have to take a left here on this pass to get into the earlier Burua village, which comes before Sangla in the Baspa Valley. No glaciers here, simply traverse over meadows and then rocks. Pretty gradual except for the last section as you hit the pass. Here is the pass then with steeper sections, so typical saddle across, in this case there, the exposed Baspa Range, a bit lower altitude than the Rupin, where we still have some snow and ice. You see some beautiful high altitude flora here. This is above 4,000 meters. It's amazing that plants are still growing there, given the thin air, oxygen level and the limited rainfall. Coming down then again in the Baspa Valley, down from Buran Gati, you quickly come in beautiful meadows. Also some camps are there, so it seems to be like a pass crossed by the commercial groups. After a while, you come into a little bit kind of confusing sometimes, multiple trails going as you enter some of these settlements, beautiful houses, a little bit similar to what we saw in Dodra village on the other side of the Baspa Range. Finally, we come in our destination, the settlement of Burua, high above the Baspa River, where again you see these beautiful ancient temples here, the Bering Nag temple. So voila. So that's basically the nice traverse in the Baspa Range. As I said, well frequented by commercial groups. So pretty straightforward hiking trail. Buran Gati a little bit less, Rupin pretty much. It's also a pretty good candidate for those who want to take a first step into their first solo or first alpine style experience. Cool, thanks. Hope this was useful, guys. Check the full details and more detailed write-ups on all these traverses on my blog, ultrajourneys.org. See you guys tomorrow for a beautiful traverse through the Parvati Valley in Himachal.